Elon Musk and Diddy spent millions on throwing an illegal white party.
Get extra comfortable, kids, because it's a wrap for y'all.
But Mark Zuckerberg spent over $300 million at one of his own parties. And Prince Harry's $48 million party had crazy high-tech stuff flying around. These are billionaires' most expensive parties. But starting with Elon Musk, he threw a Tesla party so expensive, it shut down the entire highway. Because Elon Musk threw the biggest warehouse party of all time at his $1.1 billion Texas factory, which is the second largest building in the entire world. You could only get access to this place from an invite, and he still got 15,000 people to show up. That didn't stop thousands of other people from trying to get in though. But for a guy with zero social skills, dude's got more friends in my own town's population. Obviously, Joe Rogan was there, probably doing shrooms in the bathroom. He got Gary Clark Jr. to perform, and even Harrison Ford showed up. But the high-profile guest list is just the tip of the iceberg for how extra this shit was. There was even a drone show that had pictures of Teslas, the Doge, and a picture of Texas for the Cyber Rodeo. But it didn't stop there. They also had a fireworks show, and then finally, the man of the hour showed up. Say what you want about Elon, but pulling up to your own party dressed as a cowboy, riding in the Tesla Batmobile with Dr. Dre playing is pretty damn hard. Dude is literally Iron Man. That entrance could have triggered a straight-up earthquake the way everyone was screaming. And people were so hyped to see him, he had chicks crying. I've never seen someone so excited to see an autistic guy in my life. But after Elon finished his geek speech, the place turned into the Cyber Rodeo. We really got a Tesla rave before GTA 6, because outside, Elon built this metallic cactus forest straight out of Coachella. There was also a giant metal cowboy hat and boot. But the craziest part was definitely the sound system. You know most people use speakers? Well, when you're the richest man in the world, you use the power of the gods. These two massive Tesla coils played the Imperial March with beams of dead-ass lightning. At this point, I can't tell if Elon's a secret supervillain or not. That was just the outdoor section. Inside, there was live music, carnival games, rollerblade dancers, 2 mechanical bulls, bars, and a petting zoo. And he put all this together for just $5 million. Dude really knows how to budget. But Jeff Bezos didn't have to build a rave in the middle of Texas to drop an even bigger bag, because he had a literal Super Bowl performance for his 60th birthday. But before that, he got to show off an exact replica of his first Amazon office built in the backyard. I get being sentimental, but that probably gave him PTSD from when he was poor, aka normal, because normal people would want gifts on their birthday. But Bezos is on such another level, he knows nothing would be good enough. So there is a strict no-gift policy, and honestly that's kind of badass, because when you got a guest list as crazy as Bezos's, you don't need anything else. Obviously you got some CEO homies like Bill Gates, Bob Iger, and Roger Goodell to come through, but he invited some of the most famous people in the world to also pull up. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Ivanka Trump, and Jared Kushner, Oprah, Paris Hilton, the Kardashians, and Russell Wilson all showed up for the world's next supreme leader. But as crazy as that guest list is, the party was pretty average for a 60-year-old dude. All he really needed was food, drinks, and music. Except the food and drinks were probably made by Gordon Ramsay, and the music was performed live by Katy Perry, Usher, and the fucking Black Eyed Peas. That's damn near bigger than the Super Bowl halftime show. And since he got names that big to perform, the total cost came out to $10 million. That's actually not even that bad. For one of the richest guys in the world, $10 million is child's play for him. But some kid's dad threw a party 3 times more expensive that ended up getting him arrested and killed. Because Elizabeth Brooks' dad, named David Brooks, made body armor for soldiers, so dude was absolutely loaded. So when he let his 13-year-old daughter do whatever she wanted for her bar mitzvah, things got a little out of hand. She invited 300 guests and got goodie bags for all of them. That's not that bad, but she dropped $122,000 to put iPods in each bag. On top of that, they also had mini LV purses, designer makeup, and even digital cameras. The cost for those goodie bags alone came out to $1 million. They were deadass worth more than the paycheck the staff got for 44 hours of straight work, because they got zero. But the price didn't stop there, because the artist Elizabeth got for her 13th make Bezos' 60th look like a middle school dance. She got 50 Cent, Tom Petty, Stevie Nicks, Don Henley, and Aerosmith all to perform at her party. That's damn near like having a festival in your backyard. Aerosmith even got paid $1 million to be flown on the dad's private jet, so I can't even imagine how much everyone else got. Aerosmith probably would have done it for free though, given Steven Tyler's thing for younger women. But he never got in trouble for that because the cops were way too focused on Elizabeth's dad, because this party made the feds look into him, and he ended up getting arrested for fraud. It was kinda hard to defend dropping $20 million for his daughter's 13th birthday. Dude could have made money in so many other ways, like creating YouTube videos. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are creating videos too. I've even had people reach out to me on how to create stunning videos like I do. And it's possible regardless of your skill level, by using video AI. Just type in the idea you want to create a video about.
You won't believe the insane billionaire parties I just heard about. It's crazy.
You can even edit whatever you like using simple text commands like add my voice. Unlike traditional video tools with steep learning curves that only solve for parts of your video creation process, InVideo is the creative partner that you've always wanted that removes all friction and makes the process so intuitive and fluid that it disappears, letting users focus entirely on their vision and their idea. You can try InVideo AI for free, but if you want to use their generative capabilities, I highly recommend that you go for the generative plan that starts at $96 a month. It's the one that I have, and it gives you the most bang for your buck with 15 generative minutes. This will save you hundreds of dollars that you'd otherwise spend on editing, animating, and other production costs. If you're already an InVideo user, you could simply go to the add-on section and buy generative seconds. But back to Elizabeth's dad, who just got arrested for fraud. He ended up being sentenced to prison for 17 years, but only served 10 before he died in prison at 61 years old, mysteriously. If he had enemies out there, he should have hit up the royal family for security, because they invented something straight out of COD to protect Prince Harry at his wedding party, and they definitely needed it, because 100,000 people showed up to watch the royal procession. And when you got that many people watching, you gotta look good too. So they dropped $10K in a suit, $13K for her hair and makeup, but her dress was worth $440,000. The fuck was it made out of? Gold flakes? Probably, because that's only 1% of the total cost of the wedding. They got wedding favors worth $4,000, $8,000 for wedding rings, $22,000 just for pics, and $36,000 for sausage rolls and tea. If that's not the most British thing you've ever heard, I don't know what is. And the craziest thing is that taxes pay for all of it. If I found out my paycheck was buying the future king tea, I'd start a revolution. But that's still just the beginning. The wedding cake cost $70K because it was made from lemon elderflower, whatever that is. And they paid $74K for entertainment. They even dropped $150,000 just for flowers. And yet, the most expensive thing by miles was the security team. They got snipers on every rooftop for miles, undercover police, and a counter UAV system. Honestly thought that was a made-up thing from COD. I can't believe they actually got them. But those counter UAVs must be expensive, because the security cost came up to $40 million. And that makes the whole thing worth $48 million. That's a wild amount of money to drop just to disown your family 2 years later. But the Sultan of Brunei built an entire mega structure for his 50th birthday party. And when you're a monarch of a small Asian country, how do you celebrate your 50th? The Sultan of Brunei went balls to the walls for his birthday and invited 3,000 guests from all over the world, including the King and Queen of England. He even paid for their flights in and out. He started with the most rich people game of all time, polo. But when you get to compete against the King of England, it might be worth it. But a world-class polo match wasn't the only thing the Sultan had up his sleeve, because he built a full-on amusement park next to his mansion for the guests to enjoy. And they didn't have to deal with lines, annoying kids, or trash food. Because every day, the guests were served the finest caviar, champagne, food, and drinks in the world. This straight up sounds like it's out of a fairy tale. But the most important part of the entertainment was the artists he got to come. The Sultan even built a stadium for the singer to perform it. So who could it be? How about Michael motherfucking Jackson? And he performed 3 separate concerts for this guy. Seeing the King of Pop for one night is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But 3 nights in a row? That's unreal. There's no one else even worth building a stadium for, because that thing cost $25.8 mil. So with all the food, celebs, rides, and Mr. Jackson, this mega birthday cost the Sultan $60 million. Hopefully he got some gifts to even things out of it. But Anant Ambani received party gifts that were so expensive, it almost bankrupted some of their guests, like John Cena. But he wasn't the only one that pulled up. Bro had the weirdest mix of people. He got the tech guys, Bill Gates, Bezos, and Zuck. The politicians, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, and Hillary Clinton. And random-ass celebs like Kim K and Mike Tyson. They all met at his first wedding party. Because this dude didn't just have one crazy party, he had 3 for a special day. It started on a wild cruise ship that went from Italy to the south of France. This thing had spas, swimming pools, gyms, and even a goddamn zip line across the whole ship. They kicked off the night with an all-out toga party, which must have been a little awkward given the guest list. I won't lie, I personally wouldn't complain going to a toga party with Kim. But Hillary? Ugh. After the cruise, Anant took everyone to a black tie masquerade party in Cannes. All the politicians make sense now, because that's literally just Eyes Wide Shut, and all that was just pre-wedding celebrations. For the reception, they went to the biggest convention center in India, where they built a glass palace. He was inspired by this thing in Brooklyn. So instead of just going to Brooklyn, he built a replica in India complete with a waterfall and canal. And if you're wondering how everyone got to each place so fast, Anant gave everyone private jets to fly around in. For the reception, he got the most basic lineup of all time, with Beyonce, Pitbull, Katy Perry, and Rihanna all performing. And after everyone is probably blacked out, the gifts started. At least this dude is a little normal and actually takes gifts at this party, as he fucking should. John Cena gave him a Lambo, Bezos gave him a $1.5 million Bugatti, the king of Bollywood gave him a $5 million apartment, and Zuck gave him a $36 million private jet. But that's nothing compared to how much Anat really spent on his wedding party, which came out to $120 million. But while Anat's out here partying in glass palaces, Zuck bought a floating palace for his birthday. Because when you're half robot, you gotta go beyond human limits for parties. But since he's not exactly known for being smooth with it, his guest list was actually pretty small for his 40th birthday. He had his family and friends, oh yeah, and Bill Gates. No biggie. He started the celebrations off by recreating a mini version of his college dorm, where he started Facebook. What is up with billionaires and making replicas of their first place? Ain't no way you miss having a room the size of a walk-in closet. But the mini dorm was only the first part of these replicas. He also recreated life-size versions of his first apartment, an office cubicle, and a pizza place from his college town. Yeah man, this sounds like a blast. But once all the weird nostalgia was done, he got everyone together and casually flew on this insane private jet to Panama. And when he got Zuck in VR and curved LG TVs on your jet, why not give yourself a birthday present to match that? So when he landed, he bought himself a super yacht. I'd 100% suffer through the museum of his past just to get a ride on this thing. The yacht's called Launchpad, and it's so big it comes with another mini yacht called Wingman. It's the 46th largest ship in the world, and I can see why. There's a helipad with a hangar, a glass observatory and lounge, a gym and beauty salon, private cinema, and solarium on the decks. It's got a deck jacuzzi, a swimming pool, and an elevator connecting everything together. At that point, just call it a cruise ship. This thing is bigger than most hotels I've stayed in. It costs $30 million alone, just in annual upkeep, which makes sense because the actual ship costs $300 million. Giving yourself a $330 million birthday party is a stupid level of wealth. But one man threw a party so big, it collapsed an entire country. Iran's last monarch, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. How the fuck do I pronounce that? Mohammad Reza Pahlavi threw the biggest party I've ever seen to celebrate 2,500 years of the Persian Empire. Pretty sick. And he did it by bankrupting the entire country. Not as sick. This extravaganza was so big, it took over a decade to plan. Iran isn't really known as a fruitful country, so they basically had to fly everything in. And when I say everything, I mean everything. They even had to build an airport in the middle of the country in order to fly everything in. Why the middle of the desert? Because they wanted to celebrate in the ruins of the old capital of Iran. But before they could even set anything up, they had to kill an entire ecosystem. Because there were so many snakes in the area that they had to spray chemicals over the entire city. And even then, there were so many more, they were taking them out in truckloads. And since the party took place in an ancient city, they wanted to get that vibe right. So they built a ridiculously big and luxurious tent city of their own. Each tent has 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a living room, and a kitchen with a private chef and servers. So these tent people had a better setup 80 years ago than I do now. Cool. They imported an entire forest of 15,000 trees and 20,000 plants to the desert, but plants don't do so well in deserts. They even built a fucking golf course around the trees. So they used thousands and thousands of gallons of water to keep them alive, while the rest of the country was literally in a drought. And to make the forests feel alive, they also imported 50,000 songbirds. Unsurprisingly, birds don't do well in the desert either. So every single one was dead by the end of the 3-day party. Fuck carbon emissions, this dude was killing an entire species on his own just to drink. And man, they drank. They imported 2,500 bottles of champagne, 1,000 bottles of Bordeaux, and another 1,000 bottles of Burgundy. They even flew in giant ice blocks to cool all the wine down. And with that much liquor, you gotta have some good drunk food waiting. And they had the best, because why not? They had 18 tons of food, including 50 kilograms of high-grade caviar, worth $1.75 million. Obviously, when people heard about all of this, they basically sprinted to the desert. Emperors, kings, presidents, and sheiks from all over the world came for this festival. 250 Mercedes and 600 limos chauffeured guests. Probably awkward as hell though. None of those leaders knew each other, so when they all first got there, they stood in corners just staring at each other. But once those drinks were poured, the vibes went up, and these guys ate at this infinity table for 5.5 hours straight. It's the longest official banquet in history to this day. The next day, there was a North Korean-sized military parade. They got 1,724 soldiers, dressed in time period accurate costumes, to represent every Iranian army over 2,500 years. To type this insane festival, they had a sound and light show at the end of the night. Everyone was vibing, but then everything went pitch black. Out of nowhere, a surprise fireworks show started, but it was so loud and confusing. All the guests thought it was a terrorist attack. How the tables have turned. But after it ended, the rest of the country was so pissed about the wealth inequality, they literally started an uprising, because that party cost an unbelievable $500 million. No wonder he was the last monarch. At least he was able to leave the country without going to prison. But Elon Musk and Diddy might not be so lucky, because Diddy was into some wild shit. The type of shit you would literally only see on the hub. But his most wild party was his white party in 2007, and this thing was absolutely packed with big names. Justin Bieber, Mariah Carey, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Paris Hilton, Jennifer Lopez, the Kardashians, and allegedly, Elon Musk. Elon Musk apparently even said Puff is an investor in Twitter. You know, he's a good friend of mine. We text a lot. So Elon might have been there, but I'm not trying to get sued, so this is all alleged. But almost all the big names you know were probably there. Jay-Z and Beyonce even released new music here, so you know the Ox was absolute heat. But things started getting wild pretty fast. Apparently, if Diddy winked at you, it was time to go to the VIP section. But at a Diddy party, that meant you're getting high-end food, drinks, dancers, even live animals. Sounds pretty sick, to be honest. But all the alcohol was laced with drugs, so the second anyone had a drink, they were cooked. And this scumbag Diddy literally bragged about it. He deadass said getting touched by him was a rite of passage and the route to becoming a star. Tough luck for Meek Mill, because he was already a star and still ended up face down ass up.
Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, daddy.
Shout out to Meek for taking one for the team though, a real ally. But if you weren't drugged at a Diddy party, you were 100% doing everything else. Dude literally set up an entire room full of mirrors for sex. Walls, ceilings, floors, everything. And if anyone still thinks that Diddy isn't addicted to sex, the police raided his house and found 1,000 bottles of baby oil, lube, and gigabytes of sex videos. Dude must have had way more than all that at one point, because his 2007 white party cost him $1 million to throw. And mirrors ain't that expensive.